Hi, I'm very quickly responding to Council's cancelled has given me a question as to whether um, uh, a woman who is raped having an abortion at 7 months of pregnancy, if I would excuse her for waiting until 7 months to kill her baby. And like I say, I'm not really going to get into the whole abortion issue right now. I don't know much about what goes on. I've just got a few of my own opinions, which are my own, which I do speak to people about at certain times. But firstly, can I say, as a Christian, like Gianna Jessen herself, it's not in my remit. It's not my calling. It's not my place. It's not my authority to judge the person themselves. I know that any human being who is extremely distressed, as I'm sure a rape victim would be, and that's a horrible crime against humanity. I think in the cold light of day, we do things that at points of high distress that we would be horrified of. It's not my place to judge such a woman. And it would be a crying shame for anyone to terminate a child, or to be put in that position to have to face that. Do I terminate this life? I don't think it's something that anyone does easily or rationally. At 7 months, the child could easily survive if it was born prematurely, if it was born whatever. I think on the whole, like I say, I'm not getting into the whole abortion issue, and I'm not getting into this whole Barack Obama Senator McClain thing, because I'm English, so I've not got a political axe to grind or whatever. But this this whole pro-choice thrust has always been that abortion should be certainly permitted up to a certain number of weeks or months, and that because of their scientific evidence, human life as we know it, human consciousness, and the baby isn't really a person at that time, doesn't happen up until that point. So they that is their whole argument now. At 7 months, a child will survive. A child will have a personality. A child will think. A child will be doing so much. And so, is it excusable to wait that long? No, I think is it the was the oath the doctors make? Thou shalt do no harm in practicing medicine, and certainly on that point where a child is able to is known to be able to react and consciously think of things and react to outside stimuli, then that goes beyond what the main thrust of the pro-choice movement has been trying to do, and I think does go into the position of justifying the taking of a life which is unable to defend itself and yet knows it is alive and wants to fight for life. My whole comment on the actual video was in response to what someone else says, because at the end of the day, this whole argument was being put forward here. If a woman was raped, can I say abortion, the majority of abortions are not taking place because of a woman being raped. Okay, the majority of abortions are for a huge number of reasons. Yes, the health of the woman being in a state that the child might be or definitely is disabled in some way, that the child does not fit the individual's lifestyle, so hence becomes a form of contraception, that the parent cannot afford a child. Obviously, they couldn't afford some condoms either. That the fact the family is just in such a poor economic state, and in a modern society like we have today, there is a lot of support out there for people who are in financial destitution at the time. And that was really my whole point on there. That this whole rape issue is a smokescreen, okay? And like I said, I wouldn't condemn a woman who's made a decision to have a child aborted or take the morning after pill or whatever it might be to ensure she doesn't get pregnant from being raped. And I wouldn't. I would hope that a person would respect the right to life at every stage, because it seems like society wants to knock off the kids before they're born and knock off the old fogies before they get too old and decrepit. And anyone who gets injured in between, they can be bumped off on the way as well. So that's my position, really. As I've said, my wife has worked in abortion clinics herself. She's a nurse. She's a nurse of anesthesiology. She hasn't worked in an actual abortion clinic, but as a general nurse in hospitals and in operation theatres, she has obviously been present during abortions. And the Soviet Union used abortion as a form of contraception. She's worked in Saudi Arabia, where abortions would take place on the suspicion that the child was disabled, or even on the suspicion that the child was going to be female. The Arab men of Saudi prefer male sons where possible, and not all of them do. Some are quite happy to have daughters, but male children are prized. And if the insurance doesn't cover abortion as such, from a decision to terminate, most insurance policies in the Kingdom of Saudi Arabia do cover for terminations due to accident. If the child was to be suspected to be injured because the wife is injured, then the child can be terminated. And my wife saw a number of abortions take place, terminations at several ages, even up until 7-8 months, where the wife had an accident and at the same time sustained an awful lot of abdominal injuries, which would be more like abuse. And in order to basically force a miscarriage. Simple as that. And that's how female life is treated. Talk about women's rights. Yeah. It needs to be fought again, really. But as I say, I'm not going to judge a woman individually. That's not my place. Because, but for the grace of God, there would go I. So that's my position, and I hope it's made it clear, and I hope it's sound to some of you. Thanks very much.